Hi, everyone. Welcome to this edition of the AI Monetization Podcast. I'm Binny, the co-founder of ProjectPro. On this podcast, as you know, we speak with industry, business, and AI leaders on what kind of business outcomes they are seeing with AI. Today, we have with us Kingsuk Chakrabarty. Kingsuk is the director for enterprise architecture, cloud, AI, and machine learning at the Estée Lauder Companies. Estée Lauder Companies is obviously the world's leading manufacturer, marketer, and seller of quality skincare, makeup, fragrance, hair care products with a focus on luxury and prestige brands globally. The Estée Lauder Companies did over $15 billion of revenue last year, and Kingsuk was part of the internal team that led Estée Lauder's efforts in partnering with OpenAI to build over 240 OpenAI chat GPTs inside Estée Lauder. Kingsuk, thank you for taking time to do this. Welcome to this.
Thank you. Thank you, Vinny. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely. Kingsuk, to begin with, I was curious. You probably have a bunch of automations and workflows already inside the Estée Lauder Companies. How did you decide that instead of depending on these traditional data processing automations and workflows, that you wanted a chat GPT enterprise inside the Estée Lauder Companies?
Yeah, so when generative AI came into picture, we probably recognized pretty early that generative AI isn't just a new technology. It's more like a completely new paradigm on how we are going to solve problems, which we could not even think of before there was generative AI. So by integrating enterprise chat GPT, we actually wanted to give our teams the freedom to be more creative, to more imaginative, and be more efficient. Now they can think of problems which can be solved in generative AI, which we didn't have a solution yet. So now instead of spending hours on routine tasks, which people do it like every day for certain number of hours, our talent can now focus on more of the high impact work, which really pushes our business forward. Now, comparing it with traditional data processing systems, typically the traditional data processing system, they excel at handling and analyzing data, which is more predictable in nature, and their formats are like very rigid. You know upfront what kind of data you'll be dealing with, and that's how you code those traditional data processing systems. But on the other hand, this generative AI, especially enterprise chat GPT, the tools like this, they excel in interpreting human languages, understand the context, what we are trying to ask. Also is very good at generating dynamic and contextually rich responses that go beyond the straightforward data processing, which are more static in nature. So now this shift isn't just about the efficiency, it's more about unlocking a human-like intelligence. And this is a pretty bold term of saying human-like intelligence building into a system. And it understands the way we are interacting with systems. It ultimately enables us to give more personalized and more impactful experiences, not just to the customers, but also to our teams.
Got it. And as you went about implementing these custom GPTs, King, so how did you kind of integrate this into the day-to-day workflows of your team, and what are some of the challenges that you faced? Was there some kind of change management involved, or how do you go about that?
Yes. So at Estée Lauder Companies, our journey began with integrating AI into our global operations. We had a pretty clear vision. Let's harness the technology to bring personalized, more meaningful experiences to our consumers. Now, we have several domains. We incorporated AI at several touch points across our business, to supply chain optimization, to digital marketing, and also to in-store experiences. For example, we introduced some virtual try-on, VTO. We introduced AI-powered product recommendation engine. We introduced AI-powered skin diagnostics, and so on and so forth. We also applied AI to streamline our internal processes as well, ensuring our teams could respond to market shifts faster, optimize inventory, and also maintain the quality of standards. Especially for a big organization, bringing AI into such a large consumer-driven organization, it all comes with some challenges. And one of the biggest challenge was ensuring that our workforce was equipped to embrace these new technologies.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll be like we are creating something and people are not using it, won't be of much help. So we wanted to make sure our workforce has enough skill set and they are ready to embrace all of these new technologies. So we address this by investigating in comprehensive training programs and by fostering a culture of continuous knowledge, innovation.
Yeah.
We empower, we are still empowering our employees to understand and utilize these AI tools more effectively, which is very crucial to our success.
Mhm.
Now, this involved extensive training. We got trainings from OpenAI. We had open dialogues with them. We also created a lot of pilot programs that demonstrated, tangible benefits early on the process. And this process is still ongoing and evolving. As we know, this field is still evolving. People are talking about agents, so we are again learning what's next, what's coming next, and we have open dialogues with OpenAI and other teams to understand where the world is going with respect to generative AI. The another significant challenge has been it was maintaining a balance between automation and the personal touch. And we wanted to maintain a balance, a good balance between the automation and also keep personal touch.
Yeah.
So we are committed to ensuring that AI enhances rather than replacing human interaction. We still want to have human in the loop, and we want AI to enhance that human interaction with our customers. And by integrating AI in ways that supports our team, we are able to offer more personalized, meaningful experiences to our customers without losing that human element that actually defines our brand. And while we were implementing this AI technology, we also placed a strong emphasis on data privacy, transparent communication, and responsible use of technology. We work pretty closely with our legal compliance team to ensure that we respect the local regulations and upheld the highest ethical standards.
Mhm. And you led an effort to create over 240 custom GPTs, right? And that's like very, very impressive. People struggle to build one or two of these things. Could you help us understand that entire process end to end, from ideation to the team involved, how long it took, from ideation to final release of these custom GPTs? Could you help us understand how that evolved?
Sure. So, creating 24 to 240 custom GPTs at Estée Lauder Companies is a testament to our commitment to innovation, personalization, excellence in the beauty and skincare industry. Now, building a custom GPT is, it's a collaborative effort with the business team, with the functional team, and it's also a pretty iterative process with, different teams within our company. So we have a dedicated team. When we onboarded Enterprise ChatGPT, we formed a dedicated team called GPT Lab, which was led by Rahil Khan, and he's the SVP of Foresight and Growth Intelligence.
Mhm.
And the main goal of this team was try out custom GPTs within Enterprise ChatGPT.
Yeah.
We wanted to understand what this tool is good at, what it can do quickly, how do we work with prompts, etc., etc. So our focus was pretty narrowed that let's understand what this tool is good at, what kind of data we need to provide this tool, what sort of use cases we can solve. So we wanted to understand those. So that GPT team labs, we were pretty narrow focused with that.
Yeah.
Now, when it all started with clearly defining a job to be done statement, because until you know what you're trying to solve, you won't be able to actually create a GPT which is good enough for the organization. So what we did, we collaborate with the business users. We clearly define the objectives and the specific requirements. Now, clear objectives is very, very important here because this ensures that our custom GPTs are purpose-built to address specific challenges and opportunities. And our partnership with OpenAI is pretty integral to this design process. They helped us on what should be our thought process. How should we talk to functionality? What level of boundaries should we set for each of the custom GPTs? So the discussion with OpenAI team was very helpful while designing those custom GPTs. We then aggregate and curate this extensive data sets that are for each of the use cases. Then one more thing which I want to highlight is the data quality. The better data quality it is, the more better output you will generate from this custom GPT. So that was also some sort of a learning curve for us because we cannot simply just use the data that we see sitting in SharePoint. We have to ensure that it's a high quality data standard and all of that. And it was pretty crucial for creating effective GPTs. Now, before deployment, each of these custom GPTs will undergo comprehensive testing just to ensure it performs as expected. And we build some sort of framework which will evaluate this custom GPTs, not just before the release, but on an ongoing basis. So this includes validating accuracy, assessing model's ability to handle edge cases, and also ensures that it adheres to our ethical guidelines and compliance standards. Now, post deployment, we continuously monitor the performance of the GPTs to ensure they deliver consistent value. And we gather metrics, we gather user feedback, and then it's a continuous process. We again find areas of improvement. We go back to drawing board, we figure out how to improve the GPT. And so it's an iterative process.
Yeah, that's amazing, the whole end-to-end journey that you went through. One follow-up question I have, Kingsuk, is that what kind of people actually build these GPTs? Were they data scientists or regular full stack developers? Because given how easy it's becoming to write code right now, I'm really curious what kind of people build these GPTs.
Yeah, so these GPTs are actually a low-code, no-code platform. You basically don't need a lot of coding skills to build this GPT. But one thing which is very important is you definitely need to have some functional knowledge to build these GPTs.
Okay.
So we categorize use cases into different categories. For the less complex use case, anybody can build it, and that's what we are moving towards. That we don't want to restrict a particular team in building those GPTs. We are democratizing it within our company, that anybody who has a problem, anybody who has a routine task which they do day in, day out, that can be automated. Feel free to create your own GPT, and the GPT lab team helps with bringing them up to speed. We also help them by telling them what worked, what doesn't work, and if we faced any issues. So we are empowering other teams to build custom GPTs on their own. So and we have seen a good amount of custom. The number has gone up from 240 to a big number, and we have GPTs for different categories. Some people are creating GPTs just for their own work. Some people are creating GPTs for the enterprise. Some people are creating GPTs for their team. So it doesn't need a lot of coding or tech knowledge to create these GPTs, but when you go to a slightly higher use cases, which involves like calling APIs, and then you might need a little bit of a technical knowledge or coding knowledge to achieve those use cases.
Got it. Okay. And Kingsuk, in your kind of case study that you did with OpenAI, you highlighted the fragrance GPT and the clinical trials GPT, right? And you were part of the effort that led the clinical trials GPT. So could you help us understand what it does, what impact it had, what outcomes you saw with that?
Yeah, sure. So clinical trial GPT, what it did, it actually significantly accelerated our decision-making process for new product formulations. The goal of this GPT was to quickly analyze extensive clinical trial reports and extract critical insights into product efficacy and safety. We wanted to automate this data analysis part because typically it takes a person probably some hours to figure out where the information is, which clinical trial document has this information. So we wanted to automate that part so that our R&D team can rapidly assess the performance of ingredients, formulations, which enables quicker iterations, more efficient product development cycles. So clinical trial GPT, in short, helps us move from data to decision faster. And this efficiency is not just reduces the time to market, it also ensures that our products meet highest standard of quality, effectiveness, reinforcing our commitment to innovation in beauty and skincare industry.
Okay. And just for the to make sure the audience kind of understand this a little better. And when you say clinical trials GPT, this is one of your new products that's going to launch. It's going through the process of trialing with, I guess, focus groups and things like that, and understanding the data that comes out of it to factor it back into the R&D process. Is that the use case?
Yes. So we do a lot of clinical trial before a new product gets launched.
Yeah.
So, and this GPT actually goes through this, clinical trial reports and surface all of the, critical insights before the product launch, so that our product team gets those insights from thousands and probably 10,000s of clinical trial documents.
Okay. And is the end user of this custom GPT, is it the product team, the marketing team, or is it like the R&D team? Like who is the?
It's actually the R&D team and product team.
I see. Interesting. Okay, got it. And were there some challenges or hurdles that you went across before you took this thing live?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this was one of the first GPTs that we started with. So anything, we had a lot of challenges, and biggest challenge was with the data,
Mm,
um, because this clinical trial reports, they don't have a standard data format.
right.
We had heterogeneous data ingestion. There were a little bit of standardization, so we had to make sure data is in standard format. Now,
Mm,
typically, this clinical trial data, it's stored across multiple platforms.
mm,
Some data was in PDF, some are in spreadsheets, some are in electronic data capture systems, clinical databases,
mm,
and every system has its own format and different nomenclature, different metadata structure.
yeah,
Now, additionally, we are a global company.
yeah.
So this clinical trials are often measured a wide variety of dermatology outcomes that may not be standardized across the studies. It could well vary from region to region, country to country, and all. So we had multiple iterations of prompt engineering exercise before our launch. Prompt engineering was one of the biggest uh, challenge with this kind of approach because of the data being not in a standardized format. So we
Yeah.
had to go through a lot of iteration with prompt engineering to make sure we provide the right prompts to GPT so that it understand what to look for, where to pull the data from
Yeah.
based on what query has been asked.
Hmm.
Now, this clinical trial GPTs significantly reduce this time required to process and analyze large data set.
Hmm.
Once we understood, once we had a semi-standard format of the data so that the data looks the same for the custom GPT, it significantly reduced the time to process those data sets, which also enabled with our R&D team to make faster decision into the product development cycle. It automated our data analysis with minimized human errors. I won't say there was any error because sometimes these LLMs tend to hallucinate,
Yeah.
but we with our testing framework we ensured that we control this hallucination, and if there is an hallucination, we also make sure that the user goes and looks back to a particular document. So our idea was if you are presenting some information, we also present the citation so
Hmm.
that if there is any confusion, people can go back, open the document, so we clearly highlight which document this information was pulled from,
Yeah.
so to reduce those hallucinations. So that was one of our strategy for developing this custom GPTs.
Very nice. And was there some kind of a human feedback loop for every response that comes out of it? And how did that work?
Yes, so we did an extensive testing before we launched this GPT.
Mhm.
And what we did, we selected a different uh, category of users, some from R&D, some from product development. Because different teams have different set of questions that they ask from this clinical trial. So
Mhm.
we created a framework in a spreadsheet format, the kind of questions people were asking,
Yeah.
and we asked people to rank the responses that they were getting from custom GPT.
Yeah.
And so we had various metrics that we wanted people to capture.
Yeah.
So human in the loop was always in place, especially with LLM sort of development, you always need to have human in loop
Yeah.
because these LLMs are known for hallucination and all.
Yeah.
So that is one of the key factor. And once we had reached a certain level of accuracy,
Mm.
we kind of started taking the human in the loop factor lower than what it was initially. But we
Yeah.
still have human in the loop, especially for some critical questions. So when we designed this, we captured what is a critical question, what is a non-critical question.
Yeah.
Based on that, for critical question, we usually prefer to have human in the loop validation and not just depend completely on the response. So
Mhm.
we provide that insight when we respond to those questions that as a disclaimer that please validate this information before you use it.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. And before you launched Clinical Trial GPT, right? How was this being accomplished by the R&D and product teams before? Was it just manually done or?
Yeah, so we are a team of people who would respond to this question. They usually go to SharePoint, side to pull some information. They'll query database, pull information, they'll join all of this information. So it was a
Wow.
pretty time consuming process, and a lot of people were involved. They have to interact with several different teams because they did not have access to the
Yeah.
databases, so they have to reach out to a team. They'll have to create tickets with that team. So it's
Yeah.
a long, the turnaround time was pretty long.
Yeah.
With this GPT, you can probably get an answer within few seconds.
Yeah, yeah. And Kingsuk, again, this is kind of your personal viewpoint that I was hoping for, which is you just explained how because of Clinical Trial GPT, what earlier users would go to SharePoint and databases and take things out, here they were just using the GPT, right? So do you think that's the future of enterprise software, where all the business logic goes into the chat or the AI layer? And there was a recent podcast with Satya Nadella where he was mentioning something similar, and people stop going to these endpoint software. Is that where you think things are headed eventually?
Yes, so idea is to make data easily accessible for business team to take actions on.
Mm.
And where we are heading with AI agents, even now agents are even capable of taking actions,
Yeah,
not just surfacing the information, but also take action. So that's where we are heading towards, making data easily accessible to people with the help of chatbot, and then people can take actions, or even agents can take action on their behalf.
yeah. Okay. And the business of beauty and kind of prestige luxury that you're in, right? It's a hugely like you mentioned earlier, it's a very personal, high touch kind of value proposition. How do you balance the creativity and the high touch that comes with that, along with something what AI does when you make these custom GPTs?
Yeah. So Estée Lauder Companies positions AI as a tool that complements human creativity. Um, AI handles the data analysis, personalization, population, operational efficiencies, and then allowing humans to focus on creative and strategy aspects.
Yeah.
Now, even when utilizing these AI-driven tools, the design and development process remains very human-centric.
Mhm.
Creative teams retain the control over our aesthetic and experiential elements that defines the brand. Now, the way we are balancing this is our approach is viewing AI as an enabler that empowers creative professionals,
Yeah.
fostering an environment where technology and creativity coexist harmoniously to drive innovation and drive exceptional beauty solutions.
Got it. Got it. And when there's a couple of slightly technical aspects of the solution, right? Which is for many of us who are familiar with prompts just from how we chat with ChatGPT, right? At the scale of building a custom GPT for a large enterprise, how can you give us a comparison of the prompts that we would use similarly with the ChatGPT versus the kind of prompt engineering you need to do to get the kind of outcomes you have? How different are they? What's different about these prompts?
So, I mean, prompt engineering plays a big role with this when you create this custom GPTs.
Yeah.
Because think of, custom GPTs as an intern who is fresh out of college. He has all the knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not aware of the data that he's going to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So with this prompt engineering, we make sure this custom GPT understand the data that GPT is going to deal with. I mean, most of our organization, we have a custom, data, metadata definition and all of that. So we have to ensure custom GPT understand what this metadata is, what this data is all about,
Yeah.
so that depending on when the question that is being asked, it is able to correlate the question with the metadata. Typically a custom GPT would understand the intent of the query when a user inputs a question, and it breaks down that intent to several different queries it understand based on the engineering that has been done, where to go and look for this information. Is it one source, multiple source? So prompt engineering it's a pretty critical aspect of creating GPTs. And typically, it's an iterative approach. You don't get the best prompt engineering done in a single attempt. You'll have to release a version, let the user test through it, provide feedback, and go and modify your prompt, try it out, see how it works. So it's a very iterative approach. And then the biggest thing which I want to highlight is create this prompt by working with your functional team. Understand from the functional team what the definition is, because sometimes the definitions are not pretty standardized across the organization.
Yeah.
Things like a net sale may mean something different to one organization versus another. So just make sure you capture the definitions of those terminologies in
Yeah.
the prompt properly.
Makes sense. And the other thing I was curious about, Kingsuk, was that, again, your personal view on this, which is, traditionally to make data easily accessible to business teams, right? We have seen companies use data catalogs to make something like that accessible. And it works very well for structured data. Now, in this new world of Gen AI and lots of unstructured data, what do you think is the relevance of kind of data catalogs and how do you think that'll play out?
Yeah, so data catalog works well for structured data, but in for non-structured data, I think these and chatbots are going to play a bigger role
Hmm.
for exposing this data to the business user. Instead of going through PDFs and pages, you can easily ask a question through chatbot and so the way we do is, we have some tools wherein we go and say that, oh, we have created a chatbot for, let's say, clinical trial data,
Yeah.
or we have created a chatbot for our inventory data. So
Yeah.
instead of going to the actual data source, people can actually interact with the chatbot to get the relevant information that they are looking for.
Yeah.
And this area is still evolving. We are still trying to figure out what's the best way
Yeah.
to make it more available to the entire organization. So we are still working out through details, but yeah, this was a very, very good question, and I think a lot of organizations are still working through it, how to make a data catalog type of solution for unstructured data.
Okay, makes sense. And with these 240 plus custom GPTs, I mean, and now you have a much higher number, maybe it's 400 to 500 new custom GPTs. Do users have to go to some kind of do they go to a central point of like a single point of truth to go and use all these GPTs, or are these integrated to their workflows? Like, how do they access this today?
Some of the GPTs which are available at enterprise level, they are integrated to the workflows, but there are some GPTs which are, people have created for their personal usage as well. For example, I have a GPT which analyzes spreadsheet, gives me an information so that I don't have to do
Nice.
that job.
Yeah.
So what typically people will have to log in to enterprise chat GPT, and they get to see which all GPTs are accessible to everybody.
Ah.
And that's how they get to access those GPTs. But then, if I have some personal GPT, I usually don't make it accessible to everybody, but it's just for me. So depending on if the GPT has been exposed to the enterprise or if GPT is personal, people can go and use those GPTs. And we also have a way to provide feedback for those GPTs so that we understand whether how people are reacting to those GPTs. Is it helpful? And if they have any feedback, they can give us some feedback. And that's how we track which GPTs are being used widely, which GPTs are not being used so properly. There's a way to gather adoption rate using those metrics.
Mm-hmm. Noted. Okay. And given that we are all reading everywhere that 2025 is the year of agents, your personal take on how do you look at AI workflow and an AI agent? What is the difference in your mind? When does a workflow become an agent, according to you?
Okay, to me, and again, this is my personal opinion. To me, an
Yeah.
AI, what the definition of AI agent is, when you just define the goal for that AI agent, and you don't tell AI agent how to achieve that goal. AI agent determines how to achieve that goal.
Mhm.
And I'll give you a very simple example which you can relate. We have this automated vacuum cleaners like Roomba and Samsung.
Yeah.
You just tell the vacuum cleaner, go clean my house. You don't tell the vacuum cleaner how to clean your house.
That's a good one.
That's a perfect example of an agent,
Yeah.
wherein it's agent's job to figure out where to go, how to handle obstacles.
Yeah.
If it decides everything in runtime, how to navigate through your house and clean it. So
Yeah.
that's a perfect example of an AI agent. Now,
Mhm.
a workflow is more of wherein a human decides how the AI agent will act on a particular query. For example, you ask AI, oh, I want to apply for a leave. Can you help me with how much leave balance I have and also apply for a sick leave for me?
Yeah.
So that's a defined workflow. You define in that workflow, go pull this balance, the leave balance from a particular system. If he has enough leave balance, go and apply for sick leave in this, and that initiates a workflow of approval and applying for a leave. So
Yeah.
that's more of an AI automation or workflow automation, and difference between an agent and an auto. So that's my personal take.
Yeah, that's a very good example. The vacuum cleaner one definitely nailed it. That analogy is probably the best analogy I've heard on how to think of workflows and agents. When you build these agents inside a large enterprise, right? And the way you said you're making the custom GPTs accessible is you have a central repository of custom GPTs that people release and discover and things like that. So do you think that model of workflows or agents is how enterprises will adopt AI? There's going to be this GPT store or an agent store internally. Do you think it'll evolve like that, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, so it's a journey, right? You create these GPTs, then you go with workflow automation, and then you go with agentic framework. So it's going to be a journey. My recommendation to people who are getting on this bandwagon would be follow the journey. Don't just jump directly into the agentic way of solving things.
Yeah.
Understand what it takes to do workflow automation versus doing it in an agentic way. Think the reason being, sometimes there are easier problems that can be solved in a very easier approach where you don't actually need to go an agentic route. So don't think agent as a silver bullet for all of your problems. Understand what you need to solve. Look at all the ways, because nowadays I see people hardly talking about machine learning models, but there are a lot of use cases which can be solved using simple classification model.
Right.
But people, since this everybody is talking about LLMs, Gen AI, everybody wants to solve problem using Gen AI LLM, which is and for some use case it could be a overkill for me. So
Yeah.
I would say don't discount classic AI, don't discount classic ML. Look at everything, and depending on where your use cases fit, pick the right solution. But
Yeah.
yeah, eventually we are going to see a lot of agentic solution in all the enterprises, wherein we'll have agents defined for each of the repetitive tasks, and initially it will start with agent and human combination, where an agent does a bit of work and then human takes control on it. And
Yeah.
slowly it will evolve into more of an agentic automation, where an agent does the task from start to finish.
Makes sense. It's very interesting how fast this thing evolves, because we have been doing this podcast for about 7 months right now, and we've done about 45 episodes. Okay. In the beginning, many guests would kind of make this point that we should not solve everything with AI. We should use traditional data science or machine learning. Then just within 2-3 months, that conversation, people started saying, oh, we should not be using Gen AI. We should be using traditional AI. We had forgotten data science in that 60 days. And then now we are all saying, oh, we shouldn't talk about agents all the time. We should explore what regular non-agent Gen AI workflows can do as well. So it's pretty amazing how quickly this is happening over the last 6-7 months.
Oh yeah, things are changing pretty rapidly. I don't even know what 2026 looks like. We don't know what's next
Yeah.
after agents, because everybody is now talking about agent. What is next? And with technology evolving a lot, especially with Claude, and there are so many big players in the market,
Yeah.
Claude, Anthropic, Llama, and everybody is working on LLMs. But my personal opinion is, don't wait for the technology to solve your problem. Pick on a technology. Technology is going to change. Make your bets on certain technology and move forward with it, rather than waiting for something in future to arrive which will solve your problem.
Yeah.
This is an ever-changing technology that's we have seen so far. 2026 is going to be very different from 2025. So don't just wait for that technology, something new to come in 2026, and then you'll solve. Get on this journey and start experimenting. This is the phase to experiment or different technologies that you have, and then figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and then just pick a bet on certain things and just move forward with it.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah, that's very helpful guidance. Thanks for sharing that. Um, as a AI and enterprise leader, right? When you look at this year, what would you say are your burning problems or challenges? Like, what is it if you had a magic wand you wish somebody would solve for you to make your life easier with AI solving business problems personally?
Um, yeah, so right now I would say we are actually spoiled by choices. We have so many choices to pick from.
Mm,
Everybody claims to solve something, and we have multiple options. But as especially for an organization, right? When people with AI, everybody wants to solve some problem or other.
mm,
The approach that we take in our organization is we go by business case. We understand, and if anyone comes with a use case, we look at what business case are we trying to solve, how
mm,
much profit it would drive, and et cetera, et cetera.
mhm.
So, and right now with AI technology, the challenge is they are not super cheap to implement. Eventually, we will get to a point wherein it will become super cheap to implement, but not right now.
Yeah.
So it is a huge investment to implement those AI solutions at this point of time.
Mhm.
And so you can't solve everything in your organization using AI. You
Yeah.
just have to prioritize things, what you want to solve, and what you want to put in the back burner.
Mhm.
So having a prioritization framework helps,
Mhm.
and so that you can focus on certain use cases which actually brings value to your organizations.
Got it. And for folks who are graduating from their master's degrees, getting into this amazing world we are all going through right now, what tips do you have for them to start off in a data science career?
Sure. My most important tip, focus on foundations. Focus on building a strong foundation in statistics and mathematics.
Mm,
Understand the concepts, the classic AI ML concepts like variance, correlations, conditional probabilities, Bayes theorem, etc. Don't just rely on ChatGPT, tools like ChatGPT and other to solve problems for you. Understand why things are done in a certain way. So once you have strong foundation, you can probably learn the rest of the things in a very short period of time. So build, I would say, try out some personal projects, build your own portfolio of personal projects, work on the data analysis, visualization, statistical testing, build a very strong foundation.
mm,
Rest of the things, Gen AI and whatever new is going to come, it's all built on the foundational knowledge that you will gain.
yeah.
So don't discount any, statistics, mathematics, and all for have a very good foundation on that.
Okay. Got it. And finally, as a final question, Kingsuk, which is before 2023, I guess, companies had separate data science teams, and all data science and AI work would go there, right? Now, and it's a point we spoke about earlier as well, which is the future one where every developer is expected to integrate AI into what they do, and they're all expected to become AI engineers, familiar with LLMs, to do API calls and tool calls. Do you think everybody will start doing that, or do you think that'll still be the domain of the AI team?
So I feel there still will be, a specialized AI team who will be who will be solving like specialized use cases, which uses, classic AI, ML, statistical problems and all.
Yeah,
But I feel eventually at some point of time, everybody will become a user of AI, if not like creating a, because the way things are moving forward, what I see is you don't need a lot of coding skills to create these AI agents.
yeah,
There are a lot of low code, no code platforms going to be available. There are few available as of today, but we'll see more of those low code, no code platform to
yeah,
create these agents in future. And I believe if you are doing something which is very repeatable, you do it every day, definitely look at some tools to automate your task
mm,
because you want to focus, you want to make sure your 8 hours in office is well spent on some activity which you really want to spend your time on.
yeah,
And the way AI is taking all everywhere, people are talking about automation. So get into that mindset of automating things. rather than doing it yourself every day. So just bring that culture in you so that you're not left behind and you're not surprised by where the world is going
Yeah,
eventually.
that's a really solid feedback, which is tinker with side projects that you're curious about, you're interested in, keep building on the side, right?
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
very nice study. Yeah, it's a very good one. Yeah. Terrific, Kingsuk. This has been extremely helpful. Thank you so much for taking time to do this on behalf of the Estée Lauder Companies. It was a fantastic session. Thank you.
No, pleasure talking to you, Benny. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.